Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the From the Heart Business Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we're on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
If you love the Selling from the Heart podcast, then you know how much we value authentic leadership and building relationships with heart. But here's the thing. Great leadership doesn't stop with sales. It starts at the top with CEOs who inspire trust, create meaningful cultures, and lead with purpose.
That's why we're excited to invite you to get involved with the Culture from the Heart podcast. On Culture from the Heart, we celebrate CEOs who are transforming their companies by putting people first. And we're asking you to help us find them.
Do you work for an incredible leader? Know a CEO who builds culture from the heart? Nominate them to be interviewed on the show. Together, let's spotlight the leaders who make businesses thrive by leading authentically.
So head over to cultureFromTheHeart.com to submit your nomination today. Because when leadership starts with the heart, culture and success follow. Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
Hey, great seeing you, Darrell. Another fantastic day here at Selling from the Heart. It's going to be a good one today, Mr. Darrell Amy.
Just wait till you meet our friend Darius. By the end of this conversation, you will always be qualifying. We're going to have a fantastic conversation here today. And hey, thank you for joining us today. And this growing community of sales professionals that say, yeah, I believe in selling from the heart. That's me all over the world. We love hearing from you. And at the beginning of every show, we always give a shout out to one of our friends.
Absolutely. I just want to give a special shout out to Madison Phelan. Just a great sales professional down in Southern California. I appreciate you. Keep up the amazing work as you continue to sell from the heart.
Absolutely. Cheering you on. Well, today's guest is someone who understands sales mastery at the highest level and knows how to teach it without losing the human side of selling. Darius Lahoutifard is a visionary sales leader, a serial entrepreneur, and the founder of MEDDIC Academy, the world's premier platform for MEDDIC certification. As a former executive at PTC and Oracle, Darius is best known for leading one of the most remarkable sales turnarounds in enterprise history, scaling PTC France from 4 million to 27 million in just 3 years, outperforming industry giants in their own home turf. Trained as a robotics engineer, Darius brings a rare blend of technical brilliance and high-stakes sales expertise. He became CEO of a Schlumberger subsidiary by age 28, went on to found 4 successful tech startups, raised over 20 million in venture capital, and authored the definitive sales qualification book, Always Be Qualifying. And he is here with us today. Darius, welcome to Selling from the Heart. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Darrell and Larry.
We're going to have a good time. I know we will, Darrell Amy.
No question about that. And as we get started, Darius, you know the question that every guest on Selling from the Heart answers, and that is, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
Selling from the heart is actually easy and comes naturally if you have a purpose. Focus on your purpose and you will be selling from the heart. That's something that is missing very often in some people. And when they find their way, when they find their purpose, they are going to be themselves. And the key is to be yourself. If you're yourself, you will be selling from the heart because that's how human beings are made. So one advice, find your purpose, match it with your job, and then you'll be selling from the heart.
Hey, I'm so glad that you brought this up as relates to purpose. It's just a question because, I mean, I've just deeply dove into, understanding my purpose and why we're here in our existence. Why do you think some people, Darius, struggle with uncovering their purpose? Just looking at this through your lens.
Yeah, because, life is made in a way where, you go to school, then you go to college, and somehow the society, the environment, the family has defined goals for you, and you just follow, more or less successful, depending on people, they are successful or not. And they don't always think about how I can connect it. Of course, having a purpose, and sometimes with very good heart, if that purpose is not connected to something practical, it won't work. It needs to be an intersection of where you have your purpose, but also something which is useful for others, and they value it in a way that you can monetize your passion and purpose. So that's the challenge. So some people either go for purely a theoretical purpose that cannot be monetized, that cannot connect to the real world, or they go just for the material world, and they get stuck into that rat race and forget about themselves, forget about being a human being. So the key is to find the commonality, the common point between these two areas.
Beautiful. That is some solid wisdom right there. Thank you for that. I think that is extremely profound, and I just want to encourage you to this be a moment to hit pause and actually go back and think about this. This is really, really solid. Well, qualifying is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And, one of the things, Darius, is we run sales index analysis on sales teams across all different industries. One thing that we notice is a weakness across the board is the ability to qualify. And you have given the world a massive gift with the framework and the book around qualifying. Why is qualifying such an epidemic problem across sales teams? Because we definitely see it here at Selling from the Heart and Sales Index.
Yeah, that's maybe the rush for closing. The challenge of people or salespeople who don't qualify well are a few typical sales challenges. We are all optimistic. So we wear rosy glasses. As soon as the client is picking up the phone and returning a call, oh, we're going to close this deal. Excited like no one can imagine. So
true.
We're just optimistic and wearing those rosy glasses and don't see the reality. And then, the sales cycle continues and we go towards the end and it doesn't close because we just overlooked those signals that the customer was, or the prospect was giving us. And we were ignoring them because we were too optimistic. We didn't want to hear any bad news. So I think one of the key reasons we don't qualify enough is the rush to close, the excitement of closing, and thinking honestly that we can close everyone. And that's the key thing. If we realize that we can't close everyone and that our time is limited and is the most precious asset that we have as salespeople, then we will think about, okay, I have this win rate of 30%, which is already good in many industries, but let's say I have a win rate of 30%. So there are 70% of the activities that I am doing right now that are going to poof, they are being useless. How can I minimize that? Because if I can minimize that, then I can increase my performance. That's the key to qualification. It's so clear, so obvious, yet we don't think about it that way because we are in a rush to close.
Hey, well, this is good. Where do you think this? I have my take on this, but I'm just going to throw it out there and be curious your thoughts. Is this whole transactional mindset that just plagues the sales world, where everything that they do, unfortunately, whether people want to believe me or not, my beliefs on this is they carry themselves as a transaction. They talk like a transaction as their foot's on the gas pedal. So I think they get treated as one, thus the poor close rates.
Yeah. Well, honestly, some businesses, some types of sales are by nature pushing you to be transactional, and if you want to be successful, you have to qualify fast. And by the way, our qualification, there are different levels of qualification depending on your sales cycle and type of sales. Obviously, your qualification is not the same way if you're selling fruit on the market on a Saturday versus selling AWS annual contracts for millions of dollars. So, the transaction, the nature of transactional sales I won't say it's bad because it's transactional. They don't have a choice. That type of sales needs to be transactional. If they want to be successful, they need to quickly qualify and move on or close it. But I hear you, Larry, about the fact that there is generational gaps and there are tendency, probably due to the internet, due to lack of attention and lack of depth of our conversations. We are seeing a lot of transactional lives, I would say, not just sales, but I think it's related to the internet.
Optimism. I think I'm one of the most optimistic people on the planet. I see the world through rose color. I think I'm really good at what I do. On top of that, I think this is the way a lot of salespeople look at the world. So we go out, we have a conversation, we have a meeting. It feels like the meeting goes well. We go home and we drop that thing proudly into the pipeline and we slide it way over to the right. What's the cold glass of water that we should be throwing in our face to really understand, okay, Mr. Optimistic, slow down here a little bit? Like, what advice would you give to that optimistic rep to temper their understanding of where a deal actually is?
Okay. That's a great question. Of course, we go deep in this in the book and in the courses. There are just 5 hours pre-workshop online course that we have. So, but I'm going to be brief here. One tip here is the 3 whys. Why would this customer buy anything? Why would they buy now? And why would they buy today? I'm sorry. And why would they buy from us? The 3 whys. So, first of all, we need to be convinced. We need to convince our colleagues or our sales manager why they are going to buy. That's number 1. And then we need to have a champion in the account. The champion, by definition, in MEDDIC and MEDDPICC, is the person who sells on your behalf inside the account. Is very often the person with whom we interact a lot, the person who returns the calls, etc. But that person has to have some characteristics. They need to be influential. They need to have a personal win. They need to have a reason to sell on our behalf. They need to understand our solution, whatever we are selling. And then, so back to those 3 whys, the champion needs to have a great convincing answers for each of these whys. Why do you need anything? Why would you buy anything? And why would it from us and not from my competitor? And why would it be next year? Sometimes it's all good. The sales rep who comes to the sales manager and say, I have a good and a bad news. Start with the good news. Well, we are selected. We are the selected vendor. Great. What's the bad news? It's for next year. Okay. These were 2 bad news, not the good news. So that's a very fast way to qualify the 3 whys.
And what's interesting? Let's just have some fun with this, just because I think this is going to be hilarious here in a second. You just got to bear with me on this one. I bet you, from your experience, that the salesperson's whys, right? If they answered those 3 whys, how many times does it actually align and mirror to the potential customer's why? I guarantee there's some breakdown somewhere, Darius.
When they are beginners with the methodology and starting. They try to get around it, and they try to get around their managers, and they don't realize that they are not truthful to themselves by doing so. But they don't do it on purpose. They don't do it consciously. It's unconscious. It's that optimism, that rosy glasses. It's all the same phenomena, which we say, well, because they need it. Why would they buy? Because they need it. Are you sure? So the sales manager, one of the things that we do in MEDDPICC for managers is the sales manager pushing a little bit the sales rep in a sense, not being negative, but in saying, prove to me, convince me that it's coming. It's all about challenging the forecast. If we want to have a solid forecast, we need to be challenged, be able to challenge it so that we see the real thing coming in. Because some people say the forecast, it's a forecasting tool. Well, and it's, first of all, it's not a forecasting tool. But even if it was just the forecasting tool, if it tells you you are not going to sign these deals, what does it do then? It will force us to say, okay, this is not coming. I shouldn't put it in the forecast. So I need to get something else. I need to go prospect more and find another deal. So yes, you're right, Larry. Absolutely, we can cheat to ourselves. We can deceive ourselves by not responding truthfully. But you're right. The best way is to ask it from the customer, and even the customer, we need, one of the things that we go again in the second level is that we have also the persona of an economic buyer. One of the elements of MEDDIC, the E stands for economic buyer. Economic buyer is the person who has the final words on budget, funding, etc. And the champion is the one who sells on our behalf. But the champion does not necessarily always have the power to sign. The champion needs to sell internally to the economic buyer. So one of the things that I always say in the workshop is that don't just ask these 3 whys from your champion. Ask it this way. If the economic buyer asks you, why would you buy anything? What would you tell him or her? If the economic buyer asks you, why would you buy from this vendor? How would you justify your decision? And see how solid they are. And if they are not, and it's legitimate, I mean, they need help. We as salespersons, we should coach them. We coach our champions. And one of the things I always say is that, isn't the champion the person who sells on our behalf in the account? Yes. Okay. Isn't your sales manager coaching you? Yes. Then if that person, the champion in the account, is your salesperson, then you need to be coaching them. You need to help them. You need to provide them with good reasons buying from us, good reasons of justification of the the business case, good reasons of helping them see challenges with the competition, if that's the case, or challenges with no decision, because the biggest competitor we have in the past few decades we have had is no decision, no change. Sorry, I'm talking too much. Stop me, please.
Oh, it's great. This is so good. And by the way, I'm just thinking for some of our listeners, obviously MEDDIC has become the preeminent framework for qualifying deals, but I'm realizing that some of our listeners may not be familiar with the MEDDIC framework. So would you be kind enough to just walk our listeners through just what MEDDIC stands for and how that's used to be able to qualify deals?
Absolutely. MEDDIC and its variant MEDDPICC, which is closer to my heart, is started with an acronym. So at PTC, in the early 90s, we had a challenge of growing fast. We had a fantastic product, no doubt, but we were fighting. We were in a in a market very competitive in the PLM, product lifecycle management, or CAD, computer aided design, where they keep their products, their solutions for 30 years, like Boeing. Why? Because they need to provide maintenance and so on. So it was very hard to replace an existing CAD solution, harder than a copier, to give you an example. So we had to go fast. We couldn't just wait, because they would come up with solutions and software that would be as good as ours. And in order to do that, we looked at what were the reasons we were successful and tried to articulate that so that we can train our new hires fast and ramp up fast. And those are the following. We noticed that we need to be rational. M stands for metrics. So talk in a quantitative way, not just qualitative. Don't say our solution is liked by this customer, Boeing, for instance, as a reference. They love it. No, that's not enough. Say that Boeing has reduced the time to market thanks to our product from 8 months to 4 months. That sticks. That transforms into real numbers. E stands for the economic buyer. There is always someone who has the final word, the economic buyer. You better know that person. You better know at least what makes them take those decisions, make those decisions. D stands for decision process. Another D stands for decision criteria. You have two products like Google G Suite and then Microsoft 365. For someone like me, they are all the same. Word processing, spreadsheet. But look at Fortune 500 companies. They make a decision in favor of one or the other, and they are convinced, and they convince the industry and the market that this is a huge deal. And why? Because they have a criteria, set of criteria, which defines this vendor as winner and that other as loser. How come? For instance, if you say we need to natively upgrade our existing Microsoft files, then you are indirectly saying I'm going to buy from Microsoft. Even if it is not, it appears like let's say a very neutral RFP, but what is in those criteria is actually saying I'm going to buy from this one. So you better know that. Either you can influence those criteria so that they buy from you, or you can, then you need to ultimately walk away. Don't waste your time with something that you can't close. So MEDD, then P in the MEDDPICC version as the paper process. The paper process in large accounts can be a nightmare, can take months. You better know it, different persons. The I stands for identifying pain. Identifying pain should be at the beginning, but we couldn't say MEDDIC. It would be difficult to pronounce it. We needed a vowel somewhere. So I stands for identifying pain. If there is no need for something, customer will not buy. And sometimes the deal is postponed. It goes, slides to another quarter, another month. We wonder why. Well, we haven't worked on the pain and we haven't quantified it. What is the cost of doing nothing? What happens if you leave things unchanged and you just go another quarter with this? If the answer is nothing or nothing bad, then it's not qualified. This deal may never sign. You will be lucky if it signs. People, especially in B2B, I mean, people don't buy because they like, unlike a Louis Vuitton bag that someone may like and buy because they like it. B2B enterprise doesn't buy that way. So I stands for identify pain, and C stands for champion. No champion, no deal. You always need someone inside the account who helps you doing that. Sometimes people say, well, we don't always have a champion. We just sign. I said, okay, go to your CEO in your company, wherever you work, and ask them, have they ever bought anything without someone internally asking for it? The CEO will say, of course not. I have nothing to buy. If I'm just answering to the CRO or CTO or VP this or VP that, who are asking for investments. I don't make investments directly. So, and if they do, and then the CEO is the champion. So there is always someone who is in motion. And lastly, competition. The second C in MEDDPICC is the competition. You don't have the same sales campaign based on your competition. You don't act the same way if your competition is no decision versus existing solution, or they are looking outside with different vendors. Those are the elements of MEDDPICC.
Hey, this is so good. I'm sitting here, as I'm listening to you break this down, this is what's racing through my head is I think the higher the deal amount, right? I'm talking B2B, size deals. I think the higher the dollar amount with multiple players involved, this holds true. But something's telling me there's a form of this in lower deals, right? Lower deal size where people are going, I'm just going to blow through the process. I think even higher deals, I totally buy into this, 100%. But the lower deals, right? Lower B2B, I think there's a play in this more than people probably think there is.
Absolutely. The best example I always give is when you have to remodel your kitchen, and the kitchen maker sets an appointment. They ask you, will your wife be there? They want to know if they can have a champion or if the economic buyer who makes the final decision. They want, and this is something, by the way, I moved from France to the US 16 years ago. And some of the things that I noticed as differences in the society is, and I wrote a book about it, Entreprendre aux USA, in French for the French speaking. And one of them was you won't get around that kitchen remodeler guy without having your wife in the session.
So good. What a powerful conversation, Darius. I just want to say your work has been such a gift to the sales profession. And I know our listeners are asking the one qualifying question I'm asking now, which is how do I get more Darius in my life?
Thank you so much for asking that question. I'm on LinkedIn, Darius Lahoutifard, and the website is MEDDIC Academy. MEDDIC It's not .com, it's not .net, .academy. Those are the two ways to get in touch with me.
Wonderful.
Oh, this has been so good. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah, Darius, what an honor.
Thank you so much.
Very cool. Very cool. What an amazing conversation. And I think this topic of qualifying, if this is not on your radar, this is a massive, massive game changer. And I don't know about our listeners, but I have a sneaking suspicion a vast majority of our listeners fall in the optimistic camp. We're salespeople. We think we're good. We think life is the glass is half full and all of that. Listen, we need this. We need this very, very seriously in our lives. And so I'm so grateful for what Darius has shared with us today.
Absolutely. And it just further justifies, Darrell, why it's so important. The first couple meetings that you have, first meeting, second meeting, something tells me you can identify a lot of what we were talking about with Darius in the first couple meetings that's going to actually help you accelerate the deal as opposed to the brakes getting pumped.
That's absolutely true. Well, take this episode, grab the links in the show notes, dive deeper into this. Darius's work is fantastic. And I know that this is going to be a massive, massive boost to everything you're doing. Well, hey, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us today. Special thank you. We love giving a shout out to the people that leave reviews on this. You go, why is that important? Because it helps us spread this message of authenticity and trust right here in this sales profession we all love, Larry.
Absolutely. And I've always said this, and I'm going to double down on it. And Darius, it's proof with Darius. We're bringing you some fresh ideas, fresh voices, new thoughts, all to get you to think different about your approach to this wonderful world we call sales, Darrell.
Absolutely. We've enjoyed sharing time with you today. Till next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, always be qualifying, and most of all,
sell from the heart.